Welcome to Sunday Sunlight and Stories. Please enjoy the story and have a wonderful day.
Nathaniel woke to the roll of timber beneath him and the taste of salt upon his lips. His head ached with the heaviness of ale, but the cold pierced deepest. The air was raw, bitter as iron, and each breath burned his throat like he had swallowed frost. He reached out, half expecting the rough grain of a tavern bench beneath his hand, yet found only wet planks lined with ice, where the night's spray had frozen hard. A wave broke across the rail, showering him with water so sharp and frigid it felt like 1,000 needles driven into his skin. Blinking against the sting, he lifted his head. Above him stretched not a ceiling of beams, but a bleak, gray winter cloud sky. The ship's deck heaved beneath him, alive with groans and creaks as the channel's wintertide carried it forward. He saw Thomas beginning to wake up, and the two men were surrounded by men who were weathered and from the open ocean, callous, and their eyes were empty. Faces carved by salt and storm, hands calloused by ropes in the sea, they looked not upon Thomas and Nathaniel as shipmates, but as fresh meat to be beaten and abused. Thomas bent beneath the blow of the boatswain to get up and start working the deck. The horror rushed into his mind of his wife with her shawl drawn against the winter wind, and his daughter's small hand clutching at her skirt. They no longer had him. What would they do to survive? The memory struck sharper than any lash. He longed for home, but he knew they would wait in vain for his return. Yet, as the following order rang out, Thomas steadied himself. If he could not go back, then he must endure. His strength would be their hope for his family and the man beside him who now shared his fate. At first, Nathaniel falters, and Thomas, overcome by seasickness, bends over at the rail to spew the rancid ale from the night before into the black depths of the ocean. His strength was leached by the ship's rolling. Nathaniel felt bitterness gnawing at him, for all his hopes and labor at the forge to become a blacksmith had been undone in a single night. What were they now but chattels, tools for another man's profit? Yet despair did not matter. At his side, this trial did not weaken their trust, it strengthened it. Their faith grew, their gratitude deepened, and their grasp upon God was firmer than it had ever been before. And in this, they found joy. True joy, born not of circumstance, but in the Spirit of Jesus Christ. That joy was a torch upon the deck, stirring the hearts of the hardened men around them. If they were ever to be returned home, they knew they would return stronger in faith than when they had left, a faith that could endure storms, a faith that could move mountains. This was only the beginning. The true test was to come, and may God be with them, because they will need Him through this coming storm that is stirring in the distance.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Sunday Sunlight and Stories. I hope today's time together gave you a little more light, a little more peace, and something good to carry into your week. If you enjoyed what you heard, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share with a friend. Your support helps us keep bringing you uplifting stories every Sunday. Until next time, may your days be filled with sunlight and hope. Thank you for joining us.